Sex, money, and high values. We back at it with higher values, with all the sex talk, and we're gonna try to get some money while in the process of having high values and getting a little sex. In this segment, we're gonna touch on a topic. We're gonna touch on a sensitive topic, not as sensitive as a lot of the men in today's society and emotional as they are, because men are at an all-time low because we just don't hold each other accountable for anything at this point, where I guess it could get to I guess we can get to the root of it. This video is how to become a man without a father. Me speaking from my own personal experience. My father was killed in a car accident when I was around 3 years old. So I had to do what it do with the ones that was in my family, which is for the most part mothers, grandmothers, few uncles, few stepdaddies. We'll get to that in a second. So with me being 3 and not really understanding what it meant to be dead or gone by the time I actually realized that he was dead and gone, it kind of messed me up, because I'm like, dang, hold on, how you gone? I ain't even get to know him. So it always messed with me. So maybe that could have been a part of my anger and frustration that I had with people or authority in general, which I see a lot of young men today's, that's what we go through, a lot of authority problems. And I'm not here to say I agree with the authority or disagree with anybody on either side. What I am here to say is the confusion of not having something that you know that you're supposed to have is, it leaves you intertwined, intermingled with different influences of testosterone, of masculine energy, of toxic energy. I believe the ones that are the young men that are overly aggressive, overly toxic these days, it was embedded in us at a younger rate, at a younger age, when they didn't have all of these studies and all of these statistics about this or about that. So when we growing up, not having something that we know we're supposed to have, and it leaves you looking for the best influence, whether it be good or bad, for whatever your circumstances is, it leads you down a rabbit hole of never not knowing. And then once you get to the point of not knowing, then you get to that point where I don't care anymore, because I already know that I'm not gonna know. How to become a man without a father. We know how to go down the rabbit hole of not caring. Now I'm gonna bring you back up through the rabbit hole. Now, before majority of us young males actually hit rock bottom, as they say, we go through a few trials and tribulations as young adults that either make or break us. And what makes you could also break you in the end. And what breaks you in the beginning could ultimately make you into something that you was not supposed to be at the end of the other cycle. So it's a double-edged sword. So almost it's a fine line that we have to walk. It's damn if you do, damn if you don't, for the most majority of us. I had my trials and tribulations when I was around 14, and I was out doing, partying, nothing major. But at 14, I was out past the time that I was supposed to be out. And I actually called my grandmother, who I was staying with at the time, and asked for more time to be out. And her being the grandmother she is, she thought, okay, cool, that's cool. Little did I know that night was going to be my night where I was going to have my trials and tribulations in one night. Not just my trials or not just my tribulations. I was going to have it all in one night. I ain't going to even get into that story. I will another day for another video. So we back out the rabbit hole. But after that situation, when I was around 14, it woke me up to realize that I was the only man that not only did my grandmother have, but the only man that my sister was going to have, and the only man that I was going to have for myself. Wake up, man. This is how you become a man without a father. You have to realize once you don't have a father, you have to realize that I have to be that man that I did not have. Once you realize that since I don't have it, I have to become it. Once you realize that and you start to see things differently, you have to immediately start to eradicate or slow down some of the things that you were doing post this revelation that you didn't have, that you have to become the man that you didn't have in your life. And the sad part about it is a lot of us is coming to that reality too late. And when I say too late, I mean 2, 3, 4 kids late. Like, you don't have 1, 2 kids keep doing the same repetitive cycle, and then a couple years later you didn't just so happily have more kids, and now you say, okay, I want to be a man about it now. I want to stop doing this. Them people didn't forget. And know why them people didn't forget? Because the universe didn't forget. And if the universe don't forget that you already knew what you was doing postpartum, they're not going to let you, nobody is going to let you slide for certain things. So we already know living a certain lifestyle is a slippery slope. And we already know now that if we didn't have a father, and we come to the reality that we need to be the father that we did not have, even to our unborn kids. See, this is the thing. I'm only going to speak for fathers right now. Most men, most men already fathom about being a father, so they already visualizing the steps, the different years of what they may or may not be doing, just depending on the era of the time that we was visualizing having kids. But we all visualize having kids in like I said, the stages. But then it gets to a point where the world scribbles out what you already imagined in your head your life to be going like, and then you just start going with the flow of the rapid raging river, and it start just throwing you up against jagged edge rocks and shit like that, and enough of them bumps and scrapes, a person will give up on actually becoming the father or becoming the man that they wanted to be, and they'll become the man that the world has shaped them to be. And then those men will go out and perpetuate that same energy and that same toxic male masculine energy on the rest of the population. And then once they chill out and come back to senses, they'll get in relationships with a woman. They'll get in relationships with a woman and have kids, not knowing all that built up animosity, all that built up negative energy. Then you done released it into a human being, a baby, and that's gonna come into this world. And that baby is gonna perpetuate the same cycle. Know why? Because all the shit you done, by the time hopefully that baby even get to know you, the streets gonna bend and consume you for the shit that you done did. Know why? Because you didn't become the man that you didn't have. This video is how to become a man if you do not have a father. Some of us will wake up within the environment that we in and maneuver our way out like I did. Not on no specific tailored route. I didn't go to college. I didn't do that. I didn't do this. I just made my way out with experiences and learning from the flaws and mistakes of my own friends and the people around them and the people that was around me. That's another thing. You cannot become the man that you didn't have in your life if you don't learn from the mistakes that they made, either to not be in your life, whether it was their fault or not. I had to learn from the mistakes that my father made, even though it wasn't necessarily his fault. And I also had to learn from the mistakes of seeing my mother go through certain things with certain men and going in relationships, and some of them I'm cool with, some of them I'm not. So then I ultimately stayed with my grandmother majority of the time throughout my teenage years. So that kind of set me on a straighter path, because I had a more structured mindset instead of my mother dating the quote unquote just Pookies and Ray Rays. And then she got married to a man that I didn't necessarily quote unquote like, and we always batted heads, bumped heads, batted heads, whatever you want to call it, tomato. And that kind of shaped me in a way where I didn't want to be the quote unquote street thug wannabe nigga. I didn't want to be the dude that was going in and out of jail, having kids, barely even being there in their life because I'm going in and out of jail. I remember having to going to visit him with my mom when I was younger and stuff like that. All that plays a part in a young man's mind. And I was learning from those incidents. I was learning from those circumstances or those experiences that I didn't want to see myself on the other side of that, looking at my kids and my wife for some stupid ass shit that was not worth it. And back then, couple bags of weed, couple ounces of weed, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, no driving with no license, little retarded ass shit. It was it was nothing that was actually worth saying, damn, at least I tried to do something. No, you just penny pinching. And that's the mindset a lot of our these young men get caught up in, is that same mentality. They seen their moms doing the same thing with other men, but instead of learning from those men, they started to perpetuate that same cycle and said, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna find me another girl that's like my mom, that's gonna hold me down when I go to jail. That's what motherfuckers want. They say that ride or die. So if I go to jail, you can send me something so I can eat noodles and soups all day and shit. That shit lame as fuck. Fuck all that shit. If you wanna become a man without a father, you have to learn from the ones. You gotta learn from people, mistakes around you. You have to want to be the man that you did not have, and you have to have a higher standard of life, of living, and you have to have high value. You have to have a high value mentality, regardless of if you have multiple possessions or if you have a lot of material possessions. It don't matter about that. That's why we have this lost reality of what high value actually is. High value comes from within. It's a lot of rich people that's out here that's doing horrible shit to people. So we ain't gonna speak on that. And a lot of them high value men are fathers, and their kids ain't shit. So it's a lot of us that come from average men and average women that actually become something more than where we come from. And we are the ones that are going to be able to shape the future. The ones that did not have fathers, but we wanted to become the man that we did not have. It's been real. It's your boy Dante. Sex, money, and high values. We in it all 2022. Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all. We out.